TheSeireitei, a Bleach fandom community podcast brought to you by Aizen's Hypnosis. We could make a funny joke here, but he's going to change it to something else anyway. My name is Lethan, and today I'm joined by Naomi.
Hello!
Oh my god, Naomi! Right, first of all, we need to warn the audience. This episode is going to be so long.
Oh my gosh. So much. Even just the episode recaps, there's just so much that you have to fit in, and I've been excited for these episodes for so long.
Me too. I have been so excited. There's so much. Let's get started then. Take it away with that sweet episode recap.
Alrighty then. So in episode 60, Reality of the Despair, the assassin dagger is swung. Captain Hitsugaya and Lieutenant Matsumoto of the 10th Division gain access to the hallowed halls of Central 46 to find a harrowing sight. The entire government has been murdered. Pause for dramatic music.
Dum dum dum.
Hitsugaya works out that they have been dead for a while and that any orders from them regarding the execution of Rukia have most likely been false. As Hitsugaya questions who could have done this terrible feat, 3rd Division Lieutenant Kira appears, causing both Hitsugaya and Matsumoto to give chase. Whilst running over rooftops, Hitsugaya grills Kira for answers in a way that requires great skill. I mean, talking and running without being out of breath?
Right?
Kira gives him nothing in return, but remarks that instead of chasing him, he should instead be protecting 5th Division Lieutenant Hinamori, as she is no longer enshrined in the 10th Division barracks. Alarmed, Hitsugaya leaves the chasing of Kira to Matsumoto as he rushes back to the Central 46 compound. Matsumoto and Kira engage in a tete-a-tete, with Kira thinking he has the upper hand when he releases his Zanpakuto Babasuke into Shikai, and with every strike makes Matsumoto's Zanpakuto twice as heavy. Matsumoto rebuttals with her own Zanpakuto Hinako, turning her Zanpakuto into ash and thus negating the weight. Meanwhile, at the Central 46 compound, Hinamori is approached by 3rd Division Captain Ichimaru and asks her to follow her into the living quarters for Central 46. Whilst there, she is met with a shocking discovery. Captain Aizen is alive! More pauses for dramatic music. She greets her captain, relieved and happy that he is alive, and Aizen expresses his sorrow that he had to fake his own death. He also explains that it had to be Hinamori who went through all this. But as he is hugging her back and thanking her for her service, he says goodbye and stabs her through the chest with his Zanpakuto. Hinamori, in disbelief that he would hurt her, crumples to the floor, and Aizen and Ichimaru walk away. At this point, Hitsugaya has caught up and stops the pair in their track as they are about to leave. Aizen remarks that Kira's attempts at diversion were unsatisfactory, and Hitsugaya demands to know where Hinamori is. Pushing past them, Hitsugaya finds the injured Hinamori lying on the floor and gets angry, asking Aizen how he could do something when he was the whole reason she joined the Gotei 13. Aizen recounts that is the reason as to why Hinamori was so easy to manipulate. Furious, Hitsugaya releases his Bankai. However, he is unfortunately no match against Aizen, who defeats him easily, slashing him and causing him to fall to the floor. There to witness Hitsugaya's defeat is Captain Unohana and Lieutenant Kotetsu of the 4th Division, who, if you remember from the last couple of episodes, were on their way to Central 46 to gain answers. And get answers they do. Aizen reveals that his death was not that of a dummy body, but a result of his Zanpakuto's ability, Kyoka Suigetsu's total hypnosis. Explaining that everyone who has ever seen his Shikai in action, even the fake Shikai he showed to all the lieutenants, was able to be put under the spell of his hypnosis and thus put all his plans to fruition. As Aizen and Gin teleport away using a large strip of fabric, the reveal that only people who could see his Shikai would be put under it gives way to the announcement of a 3rd imposter. That imposter being none other than the 9th Division Captain Tosin, who has stopped Renji with his running away with Rukia. Using another large piece of fabric, Tosin teleports Renji, Rukia, and himself to Sokyoku Hill, where he is met with Aizen and Gin.
And that brings us into episode 61, Aizen Stan's Horrible Ambitions. The episode starts with a roughly confused Renji atop Sokyoku Hill, representing the whole audience as he's lost for words. Isane makes an impressive connection using Kido to communicate what happened to all the seated members of the Gotei 13, and their captain, as well as the ryoka, under the orders of her captain. We see a flash of all the captains and their reactions to the news, including the currently fighting Captain Ukitake and Koraku, and head Captain Yamamoto. Renji does his best to protect Rukia, saying that he won't let her go, and manages to hold Aizen off long enough until Ichigo shows up. However, it's apparent that even these two together are no match for Aizen when, in the middle of Ichigo's I will win theme music, Ichigo's blade is stopped with a single finger. Aizen goes on to explain. I know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Aizen goes on to explain almost everything that has happened up until this point, which we'll discuss more of in the discussion. How he's responsible for everything. And just before he can finish explaining things to us, Captain Komamura shows up and interrupts him, ending the episode.
I mean, like, we finally have answers.
Yes.
That is the main thing that we can get from these episodes, is that there's pretty much, after these 2 episodes, there's only 2 more episodes left of the season. And everything has now come to a head. We're finally getting answers. We're finding out why they're doing this, who's doing this, what they're doing it for. And it's great to finally get those answers.
It is. And can I just say as well, this for me, I know there's loads of people out there that argue what is the best season of Bleach, what is the best arc of Bleach, blah, blah, blah. These 2 episodes for me is peak Bleach. Because the pacing of these 2 episodes is phenomenal. There isn't too much waffle and recap. There isn't too much characters just staring at each other for long periods of time on the screen. It is bam, 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 bam. Potentially, maybe even a little too much, which is weird to say for Bleach because obviously things get dragged out quite a bit in order for the manga to make more. Whilst the anime doesn't overlap it. But this for me, this pacing for Bleach, this was peak because we've got all these little nuggets that were happening, all these little inconsistencies, these things that were happening in these episodes that we were like, why did that happen? Why did he, like where, why, who, where, what? And now we're getting everything in these 2 episodes just being wrapped up for us. Just like Tosin wrapped up Renji and carried him back to Tokyo Hill.
Yeah.
Oh. So I just needed to give that call out that these 2 episodes for me are 2 of my absolute favourite episodes of Bleach.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the whole reason why I put my name down for these 2 episodes.
Me too.
It's the whole reveal, but it's also, I finally get a chance to redeem Momo.
Go for it. Please take it away.
So we've always had this huge conception of why is Momo doing this? Why is Momo throwing away her friendship? Why is Momo so enamored with this captain? And we get the answer in these episodes. Mm-hmm. Aizen has literally been manipulating her and brainwashing her. And for someone so young and so impressionable,
yeah,
not only has the mental manipulation been there, but countered as well, in conjunction as well with his Zanpakuto ability of total hypnosis. Poor Hinamori had no hope.
No chance. She didn't stand a chance.
She didn't stand a chance, no. And all he did was go in and save her life when she was a student. And that was it. Looked up to him and everything. And Aizen just turned that around and completely and utterly destroyed her. Poor thing.
Yeah. And do you know, I know I've mentioned before, but I really enjoyed watching these episodes, this whole of Bleach watch through now through the lens of somebody critically thinking about each character rather than being a total stan for just the ones that she likes on the screen. And Momo, it's been no surprise to anybody that's been listening to the podcast for a while. Momo was never my favourite character. That's probably an understatement. But I know that she's a great character, like one that you really love. And so I've been trying to watch it through that lens. And I can see like how deeply ingrained his manipulation and his hypnosis of her was. I don't even think he needed to use much hypnosis because of what he did to protect them when they were younger. Like he knew exactly what he was doing. And it wasn't just Momo, it was also Izuru as well. Was just the only person, I guess, that he sort of cast off to the side because he's seen them as a problem child was Renji.
Yeah.
And Momo, yeah, you're right, young, impressionable. Izuru too, young, impressionable. I think Renji wasn't like that because of his upbringing, because he grew up on the streets, he wasn't potentially shielded. So he's potentially got that element of not trusting people fully when he first meets them. Whereas Momo and Izuru, they just didn't stand a chance.
No. And you can see it in Izuru's face when Isane gives the huge speech through the Kido. And he's like, he promised me he wouldn't hurt Momo. And you can
Yes.
just see it in his face and the despair and the, oh my God, what have I done?
Yep. Because that was one of the things that I had written down was why is Izuru doing this? Like, why is he leading Toshiro and Rangiku away, and why is he saying these things? Why is he ultimately working for gain? And I wonder if it was maybe something to do with the fact that he was told nothing would happen to Momo if he complied, and also the manipulation of the freaking hypnosis, because we don't know how deep that's gone into each of the soul reapers that's bore witness to it.
Because Aizen says that he's been doing this since he became a captain. Like, how long has Aizen been a captain?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But special shout out to Unohana, though, who even had a bit of suspicion she was under the influence of it. That just tells us so much about her character and how powerful she is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just seeing that little thread unraveling and picking at it.
Yeah, she knew that something was up, didn't she?
Yeah.
And I think we knew that right from the beginning, because when she examined Aizen's body, she was very thorough. And I remember we called that out in the podcast episode where we were like, she's done a bit. Yeah, there's something going on here.
Yep.
One thing I did want to ask, though, is how did Izuru know that Momo was behind Toshiro when Toshiro didn't even know?
I think probably because he saw her. Because there was, if you look at that door, there is like an image of a foot that appears after they've run out.
Mm-hmm.
So if Momo was just waiting there in the shadows, like if she was cloaked in her Kido so she couldn't be seen, Izuru might have seen her or might have been told by Gin that that's where she was going to be heading.
Yeah,
But
I would probably say it was probably Gin and Aizen or Aizen through Gin to Izuru, who was saying, Momo will probably turn up.
yeah, and then of course Toshiro only had his blinkers on for Izuru, so he just chases Izuru, and chases after him, and which gives room for Momo just to come out the corner, because that frame is very, very quick, seeing that foot. And I had to watch it again just to double check it, because I noticed it in the manga and I was like, but no, it's not a difference because it's there with the anime too. But I had to go back and watch it just to catch it.
Yep. Oh man, right. So we get right at the beginning of episode 60, we get a little bit of like background into Central 46. That we get usually a sentence, and then that sentence is handed either to the Stealth Force to carry out or the 13 Court Guard Squad. There was another symbol, as Toshiro was talking about, that I don't think we got the answer to in the anime. Or did you get it in the sub or the manga?
The three symbols were Stealth Core, Kido Core, and the Gotei 13.
Yeah. So I knew that it was a Kido Core, but I wasn't sure if we got told, because they didn't mention it in the dub. They only mentioned Stealth Force in the Gotei 13.
Oh no, yeah, they mentioned Kido Core. I want to say they mentioned it in the. I remember hearing Kidoshu, which is Kido.
Right. Yeah.
And it's in the manga of Kido as well.
That's absolutely cool. I wanted to ask that because I do remember, I was sure I remembered reading it in the manga as well, that it was mentioned in there. But we just get that a little bit missing from the dub. So yeah, so that's how Central 46 is sort of made up then, isn't it? So the 13 Court Guard Squad is effectively the guard squads. And so they do sometimes deal with punishment, which is quite interesting, other than just the Stealth Force. So, and the Stealth Force is encompassed within, or Squad 2 make up some of the Stealth Force, don't they? And the Punishment Force, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're quite ingrained in each other.
It's definitely, from the dub's point of view, we definitely know more about the Stealth Core and the Gotei 13, because of course the Gotei 13 is where we are now. It's the 13 captains with their lieutenants. Mm-hmm. The 13 companies make up that Gotei 13. Mm-hmm. The Stealth Core we know is part of the second division, which again, so they are ingrained. But this Kido, there's
Yes.
not really a connection because they're not assigned to as an umbrella to any of the other squads. So it is very much a them and their situation. And we don't know much about it. So that's probably why the dub, at least, it's a case of we've never heard these guys before. The only things we can guess at looking at the symbols is the people who were holding Rukia
Yeah.
with her collar and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They are part of Kido because you can match the symbols up.
Yeah.
But that's the only time that we've actually seen these guys in action. We've got no one of leadership. We don't know how they run, basically.
Yeah, how they operate or anything. But we know that they answer to Central 46 just as much as the other two then.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing I found interesting was Toshiro said that when a decision's been made by Central 46, he says no one, not even a captain, can appeal their decision. Yet Toshiro himself was on his way to try and do that. And Ukitake, we knew, had tried to do that as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's definitely a case of there's no harm in trying.
Yeah.
If they present all the evidence, it may be like these guys are, might see the error of their ways.
Yeah, okay.
But what interests me is how the Central 46 is made up. Mm-hmm. It's comprised of 6 judges and 40 sages brought together from across the Soul Society. Mm-hmm. So I feel like this is a case of then these guys may not even be Soul Reapers. So these guys are telling Soul Reapers how to do their job when they're not Soul Reapers themselves.
It's almost like politics in every other country, isn't it?
I know, it's very realistic.
Yeah, because obviously they need the guards. They need to be protected because, you walk in and it doesn't look like any of them put up a fight with how they're found. There's no sign of a squabble, so they were killed instantly. So that tells us straight away that they're not the most powerful, and I didn't see a Zanpakuto around any of their bodies. So again, I think you're right.
And they don't exactly look young.
No.
And
not that that means anything, because old man Yama is bloody powerful, but yeah.
True. But yeah, I don't know. They just seem to be like a bunch of nobles just telling people how to do their job. I don't know.
And then we get Izuru, obviously talks about Momo, Toshiro goes back, and then we don't really get a fight as such. We get him attacking Rangiku and explaining
Rangiku being a queen.
Yeah, being the queen that she is, and then he explains obviously about his Zanpakuto, and this is going to be a recurring theme for Bleach going forward, especially into the next arc. Is people like to explain their powers, and it drives me nuts. Like, I get that the audience needs to know it, but do you really have to explain it to the person that you're fighting? Because obviously they're going to then spot a loophole. Just shut up and use your power.
So many fights going forward just can probably be won by the other person. Yeah.
Like, wait, hold on. Take 5 minutes. We'll start explaining to you what I'm about to do. Anyway.
I mean, because we saw it with Tosin in his fight with Kenpachi.
Yes.
Well, I suppose Kenpachi probably couldn't hear him because it was
enshrined.
So, but we knew it.
The audience, yeah.
I think that was a good way to do it then. You can't hear me say this, so I'm just going to say it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I liked how Aizen did his, because he's been using his power against him for decades, maybe, we don't know. Like, for a long time he's been using it to his advantage, and it's only now that he's completely befuddled all of them that he's like, yeah, by the way, perfect hypnosis. Yeah. And it was quick, it was to the point, he didn't explain it in too much depth. It was just enough.
It was a case of, now is the time for me to reveal this, because I'm super confident that I'm going to get away with it, so I'm going to let you in with my little secret.
Yes. Yeah. Like, that's the only time that I think it was appropriately done. And then you've got... so we've got Izuru explaining his Zanpakuto to Rangiku, aka the audience, but then of course Rangiku's able to combat that with the power of hers, which she doesn't explain, she just uses it. And then the next time we see him, he's been defeated. Yeah. That's how it's done.
That is how it's done. And it is, give Kira his props. His Zanpakuto is pretty awesome.
It's awesome.
The whole meaning behind it, and the whole it doubles the blow of whatever it strikes to the point where the defender can bear the weight no more and grovels on the ground, his head bowed in penitence.
Yep.
And that's basically what his Zanpakuto means. Wabesuke means the penitent one. So I think that's really good, and like just that little bit of character, on a side character, no less, gets that such a cool little feature there.
I was under the impression, well, obviously we know that Izuru, Renji, and Momo were friends. But I got the sense that there was some familiarity between Rangiku and Izuru as well, where he was like, you have no idea what my Zanpakuto can do, can you? As if she should almost have known. You know what I mean? Like the way he was wording it.
Yeah.
So I get that there's a bit of a relationship, maybe a friendship between these two. And I guess it's probably because they're both lieutenants, right? They'll have spent time
Yeah,
together.
they're the same rank. They probably go to meetings together, or they go out and, I don't know, maybe they're drinking buddies on a Friday night.
Yeah, I wonder. Maybe we'll get something of that soon. I don't know. But I noticed, like, I just have to shout out Queen. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to, because we've got so much else we need to talk about. I'm just going to say Queen.
Yeah, Queen. We saw another Bankai today.
We did. Very briefly.
Very briefly. I mean, you gotta feel bad for the guy. He was definitely acting out in rage because of what happened, especially because Aizen says the words, "Oh, I'm so sorry you had to see her like this. Maybe I should have chopped her up into little pieces for you."
And not left her lying around and stuff.
Yeah. Although the way he said it, he sounds totally unconcerned that Hitsugai does actually see him.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so if you actually wanted this to happen. But yeah, definitely Hitsugaya going Bankai. Which, I mean, from the glimpse that we saw, did look pretty awesome.
I mean, look. Before all the Toshiro stands in the Discord server come at me, I love Toshiro.
Yeah.
He's up there with one of my favorite characters. I adore him. I just think that Shikai was cooler. Like the Bankai, it was like, oh, okay, that's the thing. Like Shikai was way cooler. But anyway, obviously the Bankai is going to be more powerful, I guess? Question mark. Even though he gets defeated very easily, but that shouldn't surprise us because that just tells us just how powerful Aizen is. And I don't want anybody who's watching this to go, "Oh, Toshiro's pathetic," because like, look at Aizen's power. Like, we saw Ichigo defeat Byakuya. We saw Ichigo defeat all the lieutenants without even using his Zanpakuto. He wasn't even a Bankai when he did that. He took all these people out, and yet Aizen stopped his Bankai with a finger. So what hope in hell did Toshiro have as well?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody could stand up to Aizen.
And a lot of the time as well, it's how well you do in a fight is to do with your mental state as well. Like, Hitsugaya was not in the right place because his childhood friend was just lying there. Aizen would have threatened to like chop her up into little pieces. He's not in the right frame of mind to actually be thinking logically about what he's doing. He is acting out of rage.
Yeah.
So that as well is probably going to diminish his skill a little bit because of the fact that he's just not thinking straight.
Yeah.
He's going to make those mistakes. So he could have, well, given the benefit of the doubt, if he was in the right frame of mind, he would definitely have defeated Aizen right there.
I mean, is that you being facetious, or is that?
No, we're just going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
It's okay, right, Toshiro. You could have done it. It's okay.
You gave it. You tried. We'll bake you. You tried cake. It's Lethan. Yeah, I think Aizen's just so incredibly OP. I would think that even Yamamoto would have struggled. Like, that's how powerful Aizen is. And I know that that's really hard to say for sure because we don't really know what Old Man Yama's full power is. We've never seen his Bankai. We've only seen his Shikai release. But the fact that it's perfect hypnosis is just so OP. It's unreal.
Yeah.
It's so OP.
I want to say something, but I can't remember if it's in the next episode or this episode.
Say it and I'll cut it out if it's...
Okay. So we already know that Aizen has spoken about the 4 different levels of being a Soul Reaper. You've got your Zanpakuto, you've got your Kido, your Honsho, and your the fighting arts and the Ho-Oh. And he was looking at a way to transcend beyond that. So who's to say that he hasn't already transcended beyond that of a normal Shinigami?
True.
So that's why he is so powerful. And yeah, okay, he probably could defeat Yamamoto because he has broken that barrier and has become more than what Yama could ever achieve because, there's the morality aspect to it.
Yep. And then it also brings into light Ichigo's power as well, because up until this point we've been a bit like, what is that? Like, what has happened to him? What has happened to... I almost said their name there, but we've not met them yet. What happened to Ichigo? Like, because we were like, what was this power? What happened? Like, he almost became a hollow. And now we have to wonder from Aizen's explanation, is that something that Ichigo has started to obtain? Obviously not very well, but is that him transcending into that level because of what happened to him? Because of this random hollow mask that seems to be appearing on him? Is that all part of this? It's really interesting.
If that is the case, then it's a very painful process because, I mean, we have back in the day, way, way back, before Ichigo had even gone to Soul Society, when he was getting his powers back, there was the hints of the holification there.
Yep.
When he was in the hole with Kisuke. Yep. So if that is the process to transcend beyond it, is that something that Aizen has gone through or something that Aizen is looking at? Did Aizen even know if this method even exists? Like, it is very interesting. And I think as well, it all has to do with this thing called the Hogyoku. Because that name was dropped in these episodes as well, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, it was. And it was being stored inside Rukia, because, that's where you want to keep all your important artifacts.
Yeah.
Just inside my favourite character, fuck off. But, right, okay. Let's touch on that. Because this is where, for me, the lines blur a little bit. So in the very, 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 very first episode of Bleach, Rukia explains that she's like, her powers aren't up to scratch. She's not fighting as well as she should, and her Kido isn't as powerful as it should be. But at that point, she hadn't lost her powers, so she hadn't been in touch with the Hogyoku. I always thought that in episode 1, when Rukia was, being a bit fucking shite, that it was because she'd already been exposed to the Hogyoku at that point. And maybe she has. Maybe she'd been around Urahara and maybe she'd started to be exposed to it potentially. We don't know. Because we can't say that she never used a Gigai before, because we only see her. We don't know when she arrived or whatever. So I always thought that her powers in episode 1 and in the first couple pages of the manga were pretty sucky because she'd already had exposure to the Hogyoku. But according to Aizen, it was only when she was introduced to the Gigai.
Yeah, the whole timeline of when this Hogyoku was inserted, for lack of a better word, into her soul, it's very confusing because I'm like reading back through the very first anime now, the manga chapter, and she Kido's then. I think we're confusing a lot of it with how powerful Ichigo was back then.
Yeah, and him jamming her senses.
Yeah, Ichigo was jamming her senses. Ichigo was the one who broke out of the Kido because of his will and desire. Keep note of those words. To rescue his family. So I feel like it was a case of the whole insertion of the Hogyoku into Rukia was a two-factor security thing.
Yeah.
Because we see in a little side panel, I can't remember if you see it in the anime, of Kisuke going, "Oh, you look like you need help. Would you like a Gigai?" When she's in her white outfit after she's given all her powers to Ichigo, and Ichigo's gone back to bed or whatever he's gone. Unohana finds her then, and then so at that point, he takes her back, he heals her while she's unconscious. There's a whole grey line of consent here.
Yeah.
putting the Hogyoku in her, and then he gives her the Gigai as a two-factor security to further hide it.
Yeah. So I agree with this. However, and it's something that I definitely am coming back to in a spoiler episode, we get something revealed to us in the next big arc. that makes me think that no, Rukia's powers were diminished right from the beginning. So again, we'll cover that when we come to the spoiler episode. But yeah, the timeline for this is very great. I think she was exposed to the Hokyoku before she went into the Gigai. And I have strong evidence for that we could discuss in the spoiler episode.
I'm excited because literally B and I were talking for a good half an hour after we'd finished the episodes about this timeline and about like everything that was going on and trying to like figure out the wording that Aizen says to kind of make it fit in our timelines. It was, yes, I can't wait for that.
Yes, definitely. Right, I've taken a wee note of that. We'll come back to that, just for the audience members that don't want the spoilers right now. If you do and you're interested, you know, you have to subscribe to our podcast and then follow us and you'll get that episode. The spoiler episode will come out soon.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, very briefly, because it's so fucking cute. Isane was carrying Unohana's Zanpakuto.
Yay! I was like, oh, it's so cute.
I love it.
This is coming from someone who just literally published a 6,000 word Isane Retsu fanfiction last night.
Oh,
so
I need to read it. I need to read it so bad. Your little snippet of the flower was so cute.
Take tissues. I'm sorry in advance.
Oh god, I am very excited for it though. Right, yes, I just wanted to call that out, and I also want to call it just a little bit about their interaction here too, because obviously Isane was defeated by Ichigo, and so when Unohana gives the command of also inform the Ryoka, Isane in the anime has like a little brief moment of you see her eyes kind of going a little bit shocked, but then she goes understood. Like she didn't even question her captain, even though she was a bit shocked by it. She was like, she just took the command and rolled with it. And again, I love the interaction that some captains have with some of their lieutenants. Like watching how the relationships are between the captains and the lieutenants has been a joy for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see there's a kind of difference. Like throughout the whole reveal, Unohana was very calm and calculating because she's got that in her mind of what's happening, and she's just basically getting it confirmed. Whereas Asane's almost angry that she had been betrayed and what's the word beginning with D? Deceived.
Yeah, deception. Yeah, deception.
Yeah. Can't even word. Been deceived like that, and she just gets so emotional and so angry at Aizen, and she's like, "No, that can't be true. You told us that your Zanpakuto is water based, and it causes people to fight on each other." Yeah. Which I really want to go into in a spoiler episode because that's actually a really good nugget of information.
Oh, yes, yeah. So definitely.
Yeah, there was that definitely. And you see a lot of that with the different captains and the lieutenants. There was definitely they complement each other. All of the current captains and lieutenants complement each other very, very well.
So good. Yeah, I loved getting to see that little bit about them. And I wonder if maybe actually come back to one of the points you made before, Nomi, about Unohana is remaining calm, probably because she knows she needs to be as well. So even although she's getting, like, she's probably already had a chance to digest this and that this could be a possibility, and I think she's kind of thought that right from the beginning, potentially, which was why she examined the body so heavily to begin with. But I wonder if, because we saw what happened to Toshiro when he let his emotions get the better of him, she's got this composure in her. Because I don't think we've ever seen Unohana be uncomposed.
No. Yeah, she's always very much been calm and collected.
Yeah, she has. And I think that that's part of what makes her a formidable enemy. Because she's not going to be the one to get riled up by her opponent, even if she does get taunted and teased. So it was just a good insight into her character as well.
Yeah.
I loved the reveal about Tosin, though, where Aizen explains that everybody who can see his Zanpakuto is under its influence. And then that's the realization of, well, Tosin can't. And he's been working alongside Aizen. Again, I want to discuss him in a bit more detail when we come into the spoiler in these next couple of episodes, because his reason for fighting has never made sense to me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to explore it with other podcast hosts and other people to understand it better, because I'm still at a loss.
Okay. All right. But I think out of the three of them, I mean, Aizen being a live reveal probably was quite a big reveal to those who weren't in the know. But I think out of them, all of them, the Tosin, because Tosin's always just been so loyal and innocent towards not only towards his friend Komamura, but loyal in general. You don't feel like he would have any any ill of them, any will. He wouldn't wish any ill of anyone.
Yeah.
Yes, we kind of knew about Ichimaru throughout the whole entire thing. Yeah, okay, he's sus. We called it out the first time we ever met him. We don't like him. Let's keep watching him. So, and even before the whole Aizen death it was hinted at that there was something suspicious about it. But the Tosin reveal, completely left field, I feel.
Yeah, completely agree. Very, very much agree. So I'm excited to be able to dive more into his character, actually, in the next few episodes that we're going to be recording. Very excited for that. That's nearly all my notes for episode 60. I've got a little note there about the end credit scene where Aizen's entertaining dinner show, like, can I buy a ticket? I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah. The only other thing I have is a little fun tidbit with regards to censorship. So the Momo stab, when she's stabbed and the blood spatters everywhere, there's actually quite a bit of blood that we get on the screen.
There is.
And that is actually the uncensored version. There's another version of that episode of the anime in which there's no blood whatsoever. And that's the one that was shown on the Cartoon Network. Whereas when it got moved to the Adult Swim, that's the set that we get the uncensored version.
Okay. That would make sense as to why these DVDs have a big 15 slapped onto them compared to some of the other DVDs that only have a 12.
Yep. Yeah. Yay, Momo gets a 15 rating.
Well, there's more than just a blood splatter. Like you said, there's that lack of consent about inserting something into Rukia. There's so much there. And and I know this is kind of slightly off topic, but I have this friend, right, Mark, and he's one of those annoying people that, see, anytime you go to the cinema with, he's already guessed who the bad guy is, the twist ending, right? He's that he'll lean over and he'll whisper, "Oh, it's her. It's him. He did it. This happened." And he's always right. Annoyingly, he's just always right, and I fucking hate him for it. I hate him. So I made him sit down and watch Bleach. And I made him watch all of it, and I watched it with him, and we got to this point with Aizen, and he hadn't figured it out yet. He hadn't figured it out. So I stuckily, like, because obviously people that are in the Discord server know that Geisha is the other captain, and she's like my wife, and we started the server together. I stuckily started recording an audio insert of his reaction to the Aizen reveal, just so that I could send to her. And I kid you not, he was like, "What's going on? What? Wait, no. Where did he come? How? He's dead." And then he was like, and then when Momo died, he's like, "What is happening?" I was like, finally, it took an anime as good as Bleach to finally knock him down a peg. I was like, oh, it was so well done.
That's amazing. The fact that Bleach can do that when other movies and big blockbuster movies can't, I think that's a big achievement for Bleach. And well done, Kubo, for being able to have that level of surprise, and it just keeps us going.
Yes, 100% agree. This just shows how well written this was. Like, because it wasn't even like it was out of left field. Because if you go back and rewatch Bleach or reread the manga, you will see the moments, the little moments he spoke about that he did. It's so well done.
Yeah.
Right. Have you got any other notes for episode 60, or will we come into manga and anime differences?
Let's go into manga and anime differences.
All right, take it away with the manga and anime differences then.
So there's not that much different. There's only a little bit. It's like a page when Hitsugaya has left Matsumoto and Kira fighting, and he's running back to the Central 46 compound. He has like an inner monologue of self-blame. Like, he is blaming himself for what happened, and he's like, why didn't I see it? Momo still thinks that I killed Aizen. Naturally, she'd followed me. but I didn't think she'd be able to move so soon. How stupid. For Aizen, she'd come after me if she had to drag herself on the ground. That's the kind of girl she is. I should have known. So it's very much he's blaming himself, and I feel that's going to have huge major connotations as well and adds to the anger he felt when he finds Momo just lying there, because he is literally blaming himself, because he should have known that Momo could have broken his Kido, and that he should have protected Momo by making sure that she couldn't escape, and not just by making sure that people couldn't get into her. Yeah. So that's quite a big. It's only a page in the manga, but it's quite a big thing to leave out regarding his character, especially coming into the next couple of episodes and even the next arc. That self-blame is definitely going to play an important part.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think I wish they'd left that in, because it says a lot about his character as well.
Yeah.
That he's blaming himself for all this, like that. Yeah, it would have been nice for them to leave that in, because it says a lot about him. It says a lot about Momo. I did really like Aizen giving us the information that Momo was really good at Kido as well, because it's one thing, we've seen some of it in action. We've seen how good she is. But now we're getting it from somebody like Aizen, who's pretty damn powerful. And I get that she's not a master, she's not up there with some of the best, like Ukitake and everybody. But I would say that her Kido is slightly better than some of the captains. Obviously, like Kenpachi doesn't use Kido, so we're ignoring Kenpachi. But I'm talking about like
Kenpachi, yeah.
I'm talking about like Toshiro is very adept at Kido, but I would probably argue that Momo's Kido is then better than his if he didn't even notice that she was following behind him this whole time.
Yeah, like the whole shrouding herself in that Kido to stop her spiritual pressure from leaking out. That's top-notch stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
And the only other difference is Isane and Unohana's arrival. In the anime, they arrive quite early on, and you see them even before Hitsugaya goes Bankai. Where in the manga, they don't appear until after Hitsugaya has been defeated.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's a good point. Yeah, they arrive in time to see him getting destroyed by Aizen, because it isn't even like a fight. It's just he just gets annihilated.
There's a lot of fights with quotation marks in this anime, isn't there?
There is, yeah. And was that it for the anime manga?
Yeah,
okay, that's not too bad. Not too bad then. So not too much today, John.
Nope.
All right, so my episode 61 note. My number one note, Aizen is a fucking dick. That's like my number one. Such a good character, though. Holy shit, is he a depth and layered character.
Like, you've got to hate Aizen, but you've also got to appreciate how much of a villain he is. And like, and that's the make of a good villain. You both love and hate him.
Yes, agreed. Oh, and love and hate him we do. Like, I've got a lot of respect for him as a character, and I've really enjoyed watching up to this point to just see his little scenes of manipulation happening. Like when he pulls Renji into that room and he's like, do you think something's going on? Like, do you think Rukia's execution, do you think that sentence is worth it? And Renji's like, what are you trying to say, Captain? Like, he's just totally played them. And it's just so fucking good.
He's like big brain, IQ moves, 50,000 steps ahead. It's like he'd be a really good chess player.
Oh my god, wouldn't he? Like, did you ever read the Darren Shan saga when you were younger?
Oh my god, I love Darren Shan.
Oh my god, right? Did you read the demon saga that he went on to do? So not just the vampire one, but the demon one.
Yeah.
Yes. So the big chess match that they've got to have, where it's like multiple games of chess happening at once.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Aizen would be amazing at that.
And now I really want to reread the books. I'm like, I haven't read those in ages. Yeah. Oh my god.
God. Yeah, he would have been phenomenal at something like that. Talk about playing chess with the devil, eh? Oh, God. So yeah, Aizen is like, in Vegeta's words, I know we're touching on loads of other fandoms right now, but in Vegeta's words, it's over 9,000. Like, his IQ is just insane. Yeah. But other than worshipping Aizen for too much of this episode of the podcast, I have to give a little shout out to Isane and her Kido skills.
Yeah.
Really mad. Like, she done some expert Kido, and I get that she had to use the incantations, which a lot of Kido masters probably wouldn't have needed to do, but she was pulling off some mad Kido skills. And I know that Unohana is very adept at Kido, so I'm also thinking, well, obviously it makes sense for Asane to be still studying Kido under Unohana, but the fact that Unohana as well is just like, I need to see to Hinamori and Hitsugaya, so I trust you to do this. I know you can do this.
Yeah.
And then we see her make this connection between all the seated officers and the captains to inform them of what happened.
Yeah. And they're quite high leveled as well. We've spoken before about, the suspicion that the higher the number, the harder it is to command. And then the Bakudos that she uses are really, they're like 77 and 58. So they're quite high numbers.
Quite high, yeah. Yep.
And
what a legend.
Right? And
yeah.
to talk to all of those people. I mean, I will get back to it because there's a manga difference with regards to it, but to connect all of, like, how many people, all of the captains,
all the
lieutenants,
officers,
all of the people who are acting in a position of acting lieutenant. So, you've got Kione and Sen. It's not the word I'm thinking of because that's a spoiler for another episode. Sentaru.
Yep.
You probably guessed the name I was about to say, though.
I know I did. I had it on the tip of my tongue, and I was like, "Is it definitely?" Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And of course the Ryoka as well. Like, to connect all of those probably takes a mad skill.
Yes.
There's a new queen in the making.
There is.
I'm sorry. You can share the crown. It's fine, girls.
I know. I'm just excited. Like, I don't get me wrong. Like, I obviously, it's no surprise to anybody that listens. I adore like loads of these characters. Rukia's one of my top, along with Toshiro and Rangiku. But I've hated not seeing much from Rukia. So I am excited to continue going forward because we'll get to see potentially more from Rukia, hopefully, going forward. So yeah. Speaking of Rukia, holy shit, poor Scone. Right, we finally find out why she's been the damsel in distress fucking shite.
It's the whole entire arc has been orchestrated in order to get this one thing from her. And the lengths that Aizen went to get this one item. I mean, you gotta feel for Rukia. Like, why Rukia? Why was she chosen? Like, we spoke a little bit about the timeline and the insertion and everything. But yeah, it's really interesting to think if it had been anyone else in the world of the living, would it have happened to somebody else?
Yeah, would his plan have worked if it had been anybody other than Rukia?
Like, let's take Hinataro, for example. If it was Hinataro that had gone to the world of the living and given his powers to Ichigo, that would make it really random, really random pick.
That would be great.
Would this have all happened? Like, I don't think, no offense to Hinataro, but I don't think the companies would have stood up for him as much as they would have stood up for Rukia.
Agreed. Aizen, I think, and again, this is speculation because we don't know, and I'm not confirming anything or denying anything. I think Aizen had a part to play in it being Rukia that was sent to the world of the living, because I think she's already been a pawn for him right from the beginning, in the sense that the whole Kayan thing.
Yeah.
Ichigo looking like Kayan, her relationship to Kayan, her relationship to Ukitake and all the others. It had to be her.
And we get the confirmation that the hollow that killed Kayan was actually a minion of Aizen.
Yes, we did.
See that when he's talking about the holification and how he was turning hollows into soul reapers. You see what we called him Cabbage Hollow, didn't we?
Yeah.
So you see the fact that that is all Aizen's doing, all part of Aizen's huge, big master plan.
Yeah. He
So
knew exactly what he was doing.
yeah.
He
I wonder
did.
if there's anything that Aizen doesn't know.
I don't know, but yeah, I'm excited to explore it in a lot more detail going forward as well. But yeah, I think Rukia was chosen specifically because he needed, I mean, he already explained to us in this episode that he needed a big diversion, right? He needed a diversion so he could go and start his plan, which obviously was the reason why he locked the walls down, why he forced Ichigo to go and create that big explosive entry into the, you know what I mean, and cause chaos
Yeah.
amongst the ranks. He needed this, he needed them to be as torrent as possible to create as much drama as possible for him to slip around undetected under the radar. And the fact that Rukia was so ingrained, like one of her brothers is a captain. She was under Captain Ukitake, who's arguably probably one of the most empathetic captains there, who wouldn't have stood for watching her be executed. We know that she has friends in some of the high seated officers. We know that she has ties to the Ryoka because of the Kayan incident, because of, you know, I mean, like there's so much. There's so
Mm-hmm.
much Rukia's got ties to that she was probably one of the perfect candidates for creating discord amongst everybody, creating that veil that Aizen desperately needed.
Definitely. One thing that confused me, though, or
Go
like
for it.
made me wonder, is Aizen says that he knew Ichigo would arrive in West Wukongai because that is Kisuke's area of operations.
Mm-hmm.
What does that even mean? Like, has Kisuke been working in West Wukongai before? How is one who lives in the world of the living, and for all we know, we know he got exiled 100 years ago. How does he have an area of responsibility that Aizen was so sure that he would come back to?
So I wonder, the way that I took this was Aizen has known about the Hokyoku since Urahara created it in the Soul Society. We see that flashback, don't we? We see him with his Hyorai on for
Yeah.
the 12th division. So we know he made it when he was a captain. Aizen's been aware of it from that point. He knew that it's existed. He knew what it could do. And so when Urahara was exiled, we don't know how that happened or what happened to cause that. I think Aizen has kept tabs on where Urahara is in the world of living and what he's been up to. I think he's been waiting for the Hokyoku to show itself so that he could make his big move towards getting it. Because at that point, he probably didn't know what Urahara had done with it, which is why he's keeping tabs. Whenever Urahara, I guess, potentially where you are in the world of the living, the Senkaimon will open to a certain area of the Soul Society, unless it's under a certain jurisdiction, potentially. So maybe where Urahara's shop is, if he was to open it in that location, it would open up in
It
this
matches
specific,
up.
yeah, in this
Yeah,
certain area
okay.
or roughly. And maybe Aizen was aware of that to some degree. That was how I took this.
I like that. I like that. Good. That's a good point about it matches up with the world of the living and how our shop is West Wukongai. That's actually quite a good point.
I think it's just because his is like an illegal one that he's built, that's
Yeah.
how it would maybe connect. Whereas, like, say, the actual Psychonmon that is operated and used by the Hell Butterflies and or sorry, operated with the Hell Butterflies, I feel like that one is a bit more choosy about where it can probably teleport people to. But I don't think, like, you could open that up in Scotland.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, I still think it's got jurisdiction to certain areas of Japan only.
Yeah. It's probably it probably highlights even probably just Tokyo, like
Yeah,
Tokyo and the
probably.
surrounding areas, because Karakura is like we know is a suburb of Tokyo in this world.
Hmm.
So it's like definitely like even that jurisdiction, and it's something to probably talk about in a spoiler episode with things we know
Yeah.
in the future with different jurisdictions and everything.
Hmm. We'll pop a wee pin in that then to come back to.
Hmm.
So right, okay. Did you believe Aizen when he says he would prefer not to kill Renji?
No.
Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't buy that bullshit. I was like, but then for all we know, maybe he did actually. Maybe part of him harbors a tiny bit of respect for Renji because he wasn't as easy to manipulate. And I think Aizen does strike me as the kind of person who wouldn't want to just be surrounded by his pawns because that would be too easy.
He likes a bit of a challenge.
Yes,
Yeah.
he strikes me as somebody that would enjoy a challenge, because otherwise, why hasn't he just killed Urahara? Or, you know what I mean? So I think that he's somebody that invites a challenge, wants to create challenge and opportunities for people to grow around him so that they might present even, you know, an inkling of power that could potentially go up against his own. So I think that he maybe did, in a way, mean that he didn't mean to kill, he didn't want to kill Renji, not from the standpoint of, I care about you, but from a standpoint of, you're interesting to me. I'd rather not.
Yeah.
Potentially.
He's playing the long game, and he's doing this for a lot of it for his own entertainment as well, I think.
Because you get that with a lot of anime villains, and I'm thinking about Cell from Dragon Ball Z. I know I keep pulling Dragon Ball Z references at Mars, but like you get a lot of villains who will not want to be defeated so easily. They would much rather go up against an opponent who could really challenge them.
Yeah.
And Aizen strikes me as that potential kind of person, but he just needs to create these opponents first, because he's like at the moment it's just not happening. So I also love the fact that Renji was unwilling to, like, he was willing to sacrifice his life for Rukia, because you saw a flashback to a time where he let her go before, and he's always clearly regretted it. And that little flash of him, and then he like tightens his grip on her. I was like, oh,
the whole time
baby.
he's quote unquote fighting Aizen, he does not let Rukia go. He is fighting handicapped because he is holding Rukia.
I know.
And
it's so cute. This is why we warn the audience that we are a fandom community podcast. Like, we have to put that warning right at the beginning, because what you will hear is us fan-souling throughout the episodes and squealing over little ship details or little character interactions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're just, and we don't hate on the ships either, because we are very much, we're all good friends. We all say this, and we can see the merits of all the ships.
Yes.
And we're just basically big, happy, and supportive of family and the characters and their choices. The choices that the fandom writers and artists bestow on them. I don't know if they're much choices, but yeah.
Exactly. Especially because you and I have polar opposite ships to each other, and we're, you know, I mean, I don't want to say you're my friend or anything. It's not like I'm planning on meeting up with you or anything. It's just, you know, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. But yeah, I really love that little scene, because it's the first time, or sorry, this is now me starting to understand where this ship was born from and really appreciating it for what it was. So I really like that. And yeah, the only time he lets her go is when he suffocated her. And she punches him in the face. Oh, so good. So good. Can we give shout out to Gin, where he was like, he let Ichigo get by? Because, like, obviously when Ichigo comes and he arrives and he does the whole hero, you know, his Bankai blade clashes with Aizen's, and he's like, we're like, yeah, Ichigo's here, and Gin's just like, yeah, I just let him get by, because you know.
I don't know. It's like, it's just the way he lets him through, and the way he's just so utterly unconcerned, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Gin probably could have stopped Ichigo, but he didn't. So I feel like Gin is wanting this for his own entertainment as well.
Oh yeah, he's enjoying this.
He's enjoying this a little bit too much. Shout out to, or non-shout out, rage on Aizen for stopping the jam session.
Right, so can we talk about that, please? Because that, like that, I know we've already briefly mentioned it, but like the Ichigo's music was playing, so we were like, yes, these two are finally working together. We've seen Renji and Ichigo fighting each other so many times. Now we get to see their power combined, and yes, they're both injured, they're both at their limits, they've both been through loads of battles up until this point, but we're getting to see them combine their power, and then we get Ichigo's I Will Win music playing as number one, and then the whole soundtrack just stops with a finger.
And it's genius.
It's like, so well done.
As much as I hated it, because I was literally jamming on my sofa and then it just stopped. As much as I hated that, it is such a good anime like tactic to do. Just to have silence. Such an impact it had.
and it almost echoed into the background, like it was distantly echoing off, as if, you know, like when you're shocked by something and you're like, it felt like the music did that as it cut.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that is such good sound editing right there. Like, that is just, whoever edited that, whoever came up with that, this is the audience's exact reaction of, yeah, they're together, woohoo!
Yeah.
Oh, it was so well done.
Suppose, we'll do this for Del.
Yeah, I've got that written down too. I've got it written down.
Shout out to Mayuri, and you can see why people would call him a hot boy. I mean, it's there. He's like, without the makeup, and yeah, okay, in the manga he has a gross looking ear, and you can't see that because of his hair in the anime. But you can kind of see where people are coming from.
No. I'm joking. Right, okay. Fine. I'll give it to them.
Shout out to you, Del.
Yeah, shout out to you, Del, for that one. I never understood the hot boy thing before. I'm still a little perturbed by it, but this scene, okay. Okay, so Aizen says to Ichigo that he works for Urahara. How much did that shock you?
A little. I think I was as shocked as Ichigo, because of course we've seen it from Ichigo's point of view, where, you know, we've always, like, Ichigo's going out off his own back to fight Rukia, to rescue Rukia.
Mm-hmm.
But to have Aizen say he's working for Kisuke, and Kisuke's the one who's telling him to do that, and we're like, wait, no, Ichigo's doing this because he's such a good friend. It's making us question everything. Like, is Ichigo really this kind-hearted soul that he would go and rescue someone he just met, or is what Aizen is saying is true, and Kisuke is manipulating him to go and fetch his precious Hogyoku back?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And can we just say as well, like, this, I've loved Urahara. He's a very layered character. Up until this point, we've believed him to be a good guy. He's not. He's just working for himself.
He is.
The fact that he did that to Rukia, the fact that he's, like, sent Ichigo and everybody off, like, we thought that him and Yoroichi were trying to help these guys get Rukia back because it's what they wanted to do. We didn't realise that actually they were just pawns in a much larger scheme of playing into not only Urahara's plan, but also into the even bigger plan that was Aizen's. Yeah.
However, out of the two captains of the 12th division we've seen, I would still prefer to work under Kisuke than I would Mayuri.
Yeah, I agree with that. No offense to your hot boy, Dale. No. Yeah, I agree. I still wouldn't trust either of them, but if I had to choose, if I was forced to pick,
he's the lesser of two evils.
He's the lesser of two evils. That's exactly the right way of putting it. Yeah. Dick. Oh, yes. So I've got there about him being responsible for the hole that killed Kayan. That was all done in a flashback.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need that fully explained to us. Like, we could see that that's what happened. Now, I want to give a little shout out to something that I covered in the manga and anime differences back, like, episodes ago in the podcast, where when they actually, Squad 12 got Rukia's Gigai, they actually got her Gigai, and they were examining it in a panel that was sometimes a little bit uncomfortable to read. When they examined it, they said, you know, like, this, they were shocked by what they found, and they were like, this is, like, illegal. Whoever did this is going to be expelled from the Soul Society for whatever the reason. But we didn't get any further explanation on any of that. Now we understand what they've seen, but they didn't include that in the anime. That was only manga. And now we're getting that actually coming to head, where, you know, like, now we know what it was that they must have found. They must have found the fact that this was not traceable, that it was, like, created in a specific way, and all against their regulations for what a Gigai should probably be.
Yeah, and of course Aizen's then going on with that it's the whole reason why Kisuke was banished from the Soul Society.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, adds a lot of questions.
Yeah, so many questions.
So, like, all he's done, from what we know, is all he's done so far is he's just created a Gigai, which is a body to inhabit a soul so they can walk around in the world of the living. Mm-hmm. But he's done it in a way that it hides the reaction and basically slowly turns them into a human. obviously he's probably created this Gigai in order to hide the Hogyoku.
Mm-hmm.
So had Kisuke been planning to hide the Hogyoku in a soul all this time because that's why he got expelled? And if he was exiled from the world of the living, well, I mean, in the end, he ended up escaping because Yoruichi helped him escape.
Yeah, we did get that confirmation, yeah.
So he had created these Gigais and he created this Gigai and took this Gigai with him to the world of the living. So Kisuke is, I want to see a chess match between Kisuke and Aizen, because I feel like they're both 50 million steps ahead of each other, and they're just basically, it's going to be interesting to see who is catching whose coattails, who is going to be the one that's that little bit ahead in their plans, because I feel like they are both planning something.
Yeah, there's bigger stories at play here between these two characters, and we are just the pawns right now along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Good point, actually, yeah. I'd love to see a chess match between those two. But yeah, can we just talk about my poor girl being turned into a human slowly? Like, fuck's sake, what a shame.
Right?
No wonder she's been so fucking useless.
But I want to see what she's like when she gets her powers back, because she is going to be awesome.
She is. She absolutely is. Very much so. And then, of course, the episode ends. We're getting these lovely explanations. We're getting all these questions answered. We're like, yeah. Give us more. And then all we get is Captain Komamura, Aizen! And we're like, no, go away.
We want to hear more.
To us. Yeah. Oh, so we're going to have to wait till the next episode to get any further explanations on anything else.
It's like one of those ones where you just kind of want to keep watching. It's like, no, gotta stop, wait for the next episode of the podcast, because you want to hear us talk about it too.
Exactly. That's it for all my notes, I think.
Yeah. The only things I've got is like Aizen literally practically admitting that he's brainwashing Momo, but also how condescending he sounds whenever, especially in I don't know what it's like in the dub, but in the sub, Aizen's way of talking to people is actually quite condescending.
Oh yeah.
Because he adds the honorific kun onto everything. So it's, Hitsugaya-kun, it's Momo-kun, it's Renji-kun. He adds that honorific, which is, coming from Aizen, is very condescending.
Well, I suppose you don't really get a direct translation of that, but the way that, like, the tone of his voice and the way that he speaks kind of does it for you, I guess, in the English version, where he's like, well, when you're cleaning the house, it doesn't matter if there's one bit of dirt or two. It's hard to crush, it's hard to stop an ant without crushing it. Like he's very condescending without using any honorifics, but yes. We've got nothing like that in English, eh? Like an honorific like kun. It'd be like maybe if you called Ruki a wee lassie or something, you know what I mean? Like that. We've got nothing really for it. Or a silly little girl, or I don't know, something, but
little girl, little boy. I suppose like it would be the case, like calling Toshiro a boy when he's a man.
Yeah.
And like using those kind of, oh, you poor wee soul.
Yes. I know, it's so Scottish, isn't it? I think that's a Scottish thing, isn't it? Wee lamb, wee soul.
Oh, you wee lamb, you wee soul.
Yeah. My granny says that all the time to me. She's like, oh, the wee soul. I'm like, oh, granny.
Bless your little cotton socks.
I know. Yes. Okay, right. We're just now Scottishing all over this fucking podcast episode. And most of our audience is American too, so they're probably listening going, what the fuck is up with these?
Yeah.
Oh.
Scottish talk. It's fine.
You learned something about Scotland today. It's fine.
Yeah. Everybody loves Scotland.
Yeah, exactly. We're like the little Switzerland side of the world. We've got a renewable energy. We're the hippies. It's fine. Cool. Right. Is there any other points from you then?
Nope, no points. Just anime and manga.
Awesome. Take it away.
Okay. So we spoke a little bit about Isane and her whole talking and connecting to pretty much everybody who needed to be informed.
Yes.
In the manga, poor Orihime doesn't hear it.
What?
Yeah. She's like, I didn't hear anything. And Chad then has to explain. He's like, the voice said she was from the Fourth Company. You haven't come into direct contact with Fourth Company, so you probably couldn't attune to her spiritual pressure.
Oh.
Which kind of like adds a little bit to the Kido that Isane used, is that it has its limits. You can't just randomly penetrate your way into somebody's thoughts by telling them random things. They've got to have met you. They've got to become attuned to your spiritual pressure for this keto to work.
That's an interesting point, yeah.
It's like poor Orihime is like a little bit lost because the only people she's met is Mayuri briefly and Kenpachi, so she's not actually met anyone from Fourth.
I still love how Kenpachi treated Orihime. I just like carrying her on her back like a cheetah. I love him. It just gave me a whole new level of respect for that character.
Kenpachi's great. I love
He's
him.
great.
But then the anime hears it, and then they have this whole scene where Mr. Ishida Quincy, who's lost his powers, can suddenly sense spiritual pressure, tells Ichigo, who's Mr. Rubbish at sensing spiritual pressure, about the spiritual pressure, and Ichigo's like, it's Rukia! And I'm like, there's also another bigger, probably even bigger spiritual pressure that you should be worried about right now, like Aizen's.
Yeah, I know, you're right. I forgot about, like, Uryu had lost his powers and shouldn't have been able to... Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But in the anime, no, in manga, that doesn't happen.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Ishida gets big brain, and he basically figures out everything. So, Ishida's like, they must have thought it was important. Don't you understand, Ichigo? The Council of 46 is the Seireitei's supreme judicial body. This Captain Aizen wanted the other Soul Reapers to think that they were obeying the Council's orders when they were really obeying him. So what does he want? And Ganju's like, it's an execution. So Ishida's like, right, the date of Rukia's execution was moved forward when we got here. We should have suspected something then. But this message makes everything clear. This Captain Aizen wants to kill Rukia. So Ishida's figured it out.
Uryu, man, props to you. I wish you'd put that in the anime. That's like so important to see. Okay, right, okay.
It's so much better than suddenly regaining powers enough to sense spiritual pressure and, giving us that whole, oh my gosh, it's Rukia, but Rukia's probably not got much spiritual pressure to sense.
She's a fucking human, pretty much, at this point.
They should be sensing the bigger spiritual pressure of Aizen rather than Rukia's spiritual pressure. So yeah, I think the anime went a little bit wonky there for
goofed up. Can I just say, right, I'm kind of getting a bit sick of the anime for making Renji, Uryu, and Orihime like just comic relief.
Yeah.
Like I get Renji's character somewhat being redeemed slightly right now, but like especially Orihime and Uryu, they're two really great characters, and both of them are really intelligent in their own ways. Uryu with his book smarts and Orihime with her people smarts. And you don't see it enough. And the scenes from the manga, like this prominent scene, gets cut. And that is like so prominent for Uryu's character that he is incredibly intelligent and astute, and he was able to deduce all of this.
Yeah.
That annoys me. Angry Lethan noises.
So yeah. And it's so weird how they did just cut it out. Like this would have been good to know. Like Ishida is there figuring this out, giving them the motivation that they need, giving Ichigo the drive to go rescue Rukia, giving him more meaning as to why he is going up there and fighting Aizen. It's so random.
Yeah, pain in the ass. Anyway, we've had a rant about it, but I'm not pleased. I'm not pleased. But especially because, like, the last two episodes, I promise this is the last thing I'll say about it. The last two episodes, like, we've got plenty of cutaway scenes of him and Orihime and Chad being fucking stupid as shit. And that wasn't in the manga either. And I'm just like, right, stop it. Just stop it. Anyway, right, I've said my piece. I'll shut up. The audience is probably sick to death of my like character rants at this point.
That's really all there was manga difference-wise. However, I do want to point out at the end of each chapter that we're going through, this whole kind of mini arc within it is literally called End of Hypnosis. So it's them coming out of the hypnosis, it's them realizing, and the sun is shining and they're finally realizing what's going on. But at the end of each chapter, it's kind of prefaced with a little a little picture. Like normally the end of the chapters contain something funny. Like in the past, it's been the whole Kon versus Jinta fight that they've been going on over Kon's body that we're getting in the end credit scenes of the anime. That's kind of been the omakis at the end. Whereas lately, in this whole hypnosis fight, from Renji versus Aizen, it's been a picture of Zabimaru and this black wall of despair, and Renji going up against it, but then Renji failing. But then at the end of the next chapter, there's a dark moon that's appeared, symbolizing that of Ichigo. So Ichigo and Zabimaru are now fighting this black wall. But when Aizen wins, both Zabimaru, the image of Zabimaru, and the image of the moon shatters.
Oh.
And then the very next one, both the moon and Zabimaru have gone, and it's a wolf to signify that it's Komamura that's now going up against this immovable force. So it's like these little tidbits at the end of the anime, of the manga chapters, that kind of just highlights what's happening, and it's really cute, and it's really kind of symbolic as well.
I like it.
Really
That's
nice.
pretty cool. Definitely shout out to the audience. If you've not read the manga, go and check it out.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. All I've got, yeah.
Oh my god, that was so long, but also necessary. It was a necessary length for this one.
It was.
Holy hell. Right, okay, let's delve into the Dangai. And all I've got for delving into the Dangai is to say that Aizen's completely fucked over Central 46, so we don't have any news.
Nope.
Nope, not a thing.
Yep. No publications because everybody's too busy dealing with Aizen's defect. It's fine.
Yeah. We had a lot more news last episode than we did this one.
We did, yeah.
Alright, that brings us into the Shinigami Cup Peroxide edition. So who wrote it best?
My who wrote best is probably the audience face when everything is finally revealed.
Mine isn't far off yours, actually. Mine's was Renji wearing his look of incredulity. Because I do think he represents the audience, so at that point, doesn't he? He absolutely represents us.
Yes, absolutely. And like, even you said it with your friend Mark in the whole kind of, wait, what's happening? No, why did I not see this?
I wish I had that audio that I could insert. I wish I had it.
It's just amazing, yeah.
So good. So good. Yeah, okay, best ship.
Okay, so we're always fighting, arguing, loving. You know, we've got the Renruki, we've got the Ichiruki. We never really talk about Ichiren.
I love it, yeah.
They just blatantly stopped. And I mean, Aizen very much let them have this little lovers spat argument that they were having. But just that bromance or actual romance, call it as you will, but there was definite hilarity and a relationship between them. But then they both, you know, they've gone through this whole journey of hating each other to finally turning around and finding a common goal.
Yes.
And that common goal is to work together and take down Aizen. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Best ship, shout out, Ichigo and Renji.
Gotta love a good bromance or you know, proper ship, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good ship. My best ship was a Death Eater squad, which is Aizen, Tozan, and Gin, for just how much wool they pulled over everybody's eyes. Like, shout out to those guys. Like, that's impressive.
I love it.
And then that brings us into this what it's like, though. And that brings us into the double take. Then, what was your double take?
Mine was definitely the Hogyoku insertion date.
Every time we say that, I just cringe and cross my legs because I'm like, how is it like to be like? Okay, let's not
it could be worse. I could be calling it the Hogyoku penetration date.
Oh God, no, mate. This is why we're a mature rated podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just yeah, right, we're not talking about balls being inserted. Right, okay, I'm gonna okay, my double take, I've got kind of two here, and they're quite well, one of them is major, and I thought it was a very obvious one, was obviously Aizen stopping Ichigo's blade with a finger. Mm-hmm. That was one, but I feel like that was everybody. So I also want to give a special shout out to Isane not even questioning her captain's orders, even although you see the shock in her eyes when she tells her to also contact the Ryoka.
Yeah.
Like that little shock, and then understood, I understand, and then she just did it. I wanted to give a special shout out to that as well, because I was like, oh, that was cute.
And you can see it as well when she's talking, when she actually addresses them, and she's like, and you know, to all these people, and the Ryoka. So
Yeah.
like that she could have just accidentally forgotten like to mention them, but she did talk to them as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So.
And that'll bring us into fandom shout out then. What have you got?
So my fandom shout out kind of goes with the whole loving on everybody's ships and loving all of the four main characters. You got Ichigo, Renji, Rukia, and all Hime equally. So mine is a piece of art from Kittiemitties on Tumblr. And it's
oh my god, I've seen this recently as well. This is great.
I think I posted it in media share.
That
and
was
I was
it.
just like, this is basically just our server and our love for all ships. Like it starts off with you got Ichigo, you got Rukia kissing Ichigo, and Renji's just looking on. But then you got Rukia kissing Renji, and then Renji kisses Ichigo, and then they all just converge on Ohime and just give her all the love in the world. And it's just so wholesome and so lovely, and it's what the fandom should be. Everybody just loving everybody, regardless of who their ship is.
I absolutely agree with that. I agree. That is that bottom image of like all of them kissing Orihime. That is our server.
Yes.
You know, like that's just, I get that not everybody obviously is a fan of every character and every ship in the server, but we all are so respectful of each other. And we all work really hard. Like we're not perfect, but we all work really hard to create this safe space and environment in the server where everybody can be open and honest and love a ship as much as they want without other people coming and stomping all over it.
Yeah.
And a safe space where Ichiruki shippers can make friends with Renruki shippers and Ichihime shippers, which is almost unheard of in the fandom. So that is our server. I think we're prime example of that, Nomi, aren't we?
We are, definitely. I still judge you. No, I'm joking.
I'm still going to kill you first, though, you know.
Yeah. I mean, well, look at it this way. You've just written a fic that has hints of Renruki.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And I've written, and I'm planning to write, an Ichiruki fic. Even though, like, they're not our best ships, we're still supportive, and we're still, you know, we still write and acknowledge, and we still support the fandom with ships that we may not, you know, ultimately be our OTP, as it were.
Exactly, totally agree. And I will admit as well, before doing the podcast and really settling into this, I wrote a few I wrote a few fan fictions where maybe I bashed Momo just slightly. And now, like that used to be my go-to, was making her kind of a bad guy or an antagonist or something in my fics, but now I'm not doing that. And I think that speaks to our growing relationship in the podcast and the community, and me and you together as well, I've opened my eyes up to Momo as a character, and I'm empathizing with her a lot more. So I love that piece. That art is great. It's so well drawn. It's so cute. I love the fact that everything isn't fully colored in.
Yes.
You know, like it's like sketchy.
Yeah.
I love
it.
It's
just on like felt tip. Yeah.
Yes. I love it. I love it so much. And Rukia's little face at the side whilst
and she's got like her little
she's
got her little ribbon and she's like cheering them on. Yay!
It's so cute. Yeah, it's so cute. Right, my piece ties in a little bit with the episode that we have been, or the episode that we've been watching. My fandom shout out goes to Halfasailor, and it is an Aizen cosplay on Instagram. So Halfasailor on Instagram, and it is an Aizen cosplay. And the makeup, the cheekbone, like what they've done what they've done with the makeup, the cheekbone makeup, what they've done with that is on point. And Aizen's got a pretty pout. It's so well done.
Yes.
The hair, the glasses, everything is phenomenal. It's so good.
It's so good. I still can't keep looking at like the way they've contoured their face.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
Really good. It's really good. So shout out to Halfasailor for that incredible Aizen cosplay. Like even just the hair, the glasses, everything is so good. It's so good. Like it's I love it because it's like there is, to me, there's no gender in that picture, and I think that's what I really love about it. Like it's Aizen. but there's makeup which you would normally associate with feminine, but it's not. And it's done, and it's short hair, and it's so well done. Like, everything is so well done in that
Yeah.
image that it goes beyond, it transcends gender, and it is just Aizen. And it's so cool. So that's a shout out to Halfasailor on Instagram. And yeah, I think before we wrap up though, I do want to just say to the audience, we're still looking for feedback for the podcast, you know.
Yep.
So if you want to come and give us feedback, the link to do that will be in the show notes. I mean, there will come a point where this feedback will close. So if you are way into the future, if you're listening to this way into the future and you click on the link and it's closed, don't worry, it just means that there's probably been new episodes and the link's been updated and we're asking for more feedback at another time. So just for those of you that may be listening way in the past or way in the future, I don't know, I'm mixing myself up now. But yeah, click the link, check it. If it's still open, that means that we're still looking for feedback. So please give us some feedback. It would only take like 5 minutes. It's only a couple of questions and we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, because of course we are coming to the end of this season. Like this is the third season of the anime. We are coming to the end and we're going to be starting on a brand new adventure with new arcs and new characters, new villains. So we want to be able to put what you're saying, the feedback that you're giving us, into motion for the next season so that we can come back bigger and better and more awesome than we've ever been before.
Yes, absolutely. Cool, and that's it for me. Nomi, have you got anything?
No, that's it from me as well.
Okay then, you wonderful, wonderful souls. That is the end of another episode. If you like what you heard and you want to get involved, you can find us by searching for TheSeireitei on Facebook, Tumblr and Instagram, and TheSeireitei on Twitter. Each of these platforms will link you to our fantastically deadly Discord family, where you can chat with us about the show, read fan fiction, take part in creative challenges, and talk anything and everything Bleach. Now, Ichigo and Rukia might reap souls, but we are hoping to reap some 5-star reviews, and that is where you come in. Make like your favourite orange-haired protector and Ichigo to iTunes to rate us, review us, and make us feel like number one.
Sorry.
Yeah, all good. Don't worry, I'll edit us together so it sounds like we're actually in harmony. To those of you listening on YouTube, don't forget to be like Chad and give us a good thumbs up. We really appreciate it. On the next episode of the podcast, we'll be covering anime episodes 62, Gather Together, Group of the Strongest Shinigami, and episode 63, Rukia's Resolution, Ichigo's Feelings, which will take us to the end of season 3. But we'll see you souls then. Till next time. Bye.